Happiness, as the Buddha famously said, does not depend on what you have or who you are. It is shaped by how you think, a truth that underpins the transformative power of Buddhist teachings. In a world where challenges and uncertainties are inevitable, the principles drawn from these ancient teachings offer a beacon of clarity and resilience. This journey begins by understanding how we can cultivate forgiveness, live with intention, and embrace generosity, not as lofty ideals but as actionable steps toward a life imbued with meaning and inner peace. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a passive act, a reluctant concession to someone who has wronged us. However, in Buddhism, forgiveness is a profound and liberating practice. It's not merely about excusing others' actions or pretending they didn't hurt us. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment that keeps us tethered to the past. Imagine holding onto a burning coal, intending to throw it at someone else. The person who gets burned first is you. This is the essence of what the Buddha taught about clinging to anger. It harms us far more than those we are angry at. Consider a story of a young man named Arun, who struggled for years with the pain of betrayal by a close friend. This betrayal consumed him, coloring every interaction with suspicion and bitterness. Arun eventually attended a meditation retreat, where he was introduced to the concept of metta, or loving-kindness meditation. Through this practice, he visualized extending compassion and forgiveness not only to himself, but also to the friend who had hurt him. At first, this felt impossible. Yet, over time, the practice softened the walls around his heart. He began to see his friend not as an enemy, but as a fellow human being, flawed and struggling like himself. Forgiveness, in this sense, became an act of self-liberation. It allowed Arun to reclaim his peace and move forward unburdened by the weight of anger. Forgiveness in Buddhism is also deeply tied to the understanding of karma. The cycle of cause and effect teaches us that holding on to negativity perpetuates suffering, while releasing it creates the conditions for harmony and balance. This doesn't mean that forgiveness is easy. On the contrary, it often requires patience, courage, and self-reflection. For those dealing with profound wounds, forgiveness may be a gradual process. But every step toward it is a step toward greater freedom and joy. Living with intention is another cornerstone of mental strength and fulfillment. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, it is easy to drift through life, reacting to circumstances rather than actively shaping them. Buddhism encourages us to live deliberately, aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with our deepest values and aspirations. This intentionality transforms mundane routines into meaningful acts, infusing our lives with purpose and clarity. Take, for instance, the story of May, a woman who felt stuck in a monotonous job that drained her energy. She spent years going through the motions, unsure of what she truly wanted. One day, she stumbled upon a Buddhist teaching about impermanence, the understanding that life is fleeting and every moment is precious. Inspired, May began a practice of daily reflection, asking herself, "What matters most to me?" Over time, her answers became clearer. She realized her passion for working with children and began volunteering at a local youth center. This seemingly small shift brought a profound sense of fulfillment and connection to her life. Living with intention doesn't require drastic changes. It's about making choices that align with what truly matters. Mindfulness is a crucial component of intentional living. It grounds us in the present moment, allowing us to make conscious decisions rather than being swept away by distractions or automatic behaviors. Imagine someone who begins their day with a brief mindfulness practice, focusing on their breath and setting an intention for the day. This simple act creates a ripple effect, influencing how they approach challenges, interact with others, and prioritize their time. Living with intention, guided by mindfulness, fosters resilience and a deeper connection to life's beauty. Generosity is another transformative practice rooted in Buddhist teachings. At its heart, generosity is about transcending selfishness and recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings. It's not limited to material giving, but includes offering time, kindness, and even forgiveness. The act of giving, when done selflessly, cultivates joy and compassion, both for the giver and the receiver. There is a story often told in Buddhist circles about a poor farmer who, despite having little, offered a small portion of his harvest to a hungry traveler. When asked why he would give away what he could barely afford, the farmer replied, "Hunger feels the same, whether it's my stomach or someone else's. If I can ease that pain, even a little, I gain more than I lose." This perspective illustrates the profound fulfillment that comes from acts of generosity. It shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, reminding us of the richness inherent in human connection. Dana, the Buddhist practice of giving, is a powerful way to cultivate generosity. It involves offering resources, whether material or spiritual, with no expectation of return. This practice purifies the mind, reducing attachment and fostering a sense of gratitude. Consider a woman who dedicates her weekends to teaching language skills to refugees. Initially, she thought she was simply giving her time. But as she witnessed the impact of her efforts, a child learning to read, a parent navigating their new environment, she realized how much she was receiving in return. Generosity, as this story shows, is not a one-way street. It creates a cycle of compassion and connection that enriches everyone involved. As we explore these principles, it's important to recognize that they are not abstract ideals, but practical tools for everyday life. Forgiveness frees us from the chains of resentment. Living with intention brings clarity and purpose, and generosity fosters joy and connection. Each practice builds upon the others, creating a foundation for mental strength and a meaningful life. These teachings remind us that transformation begins within. By turning our focus inward and cultivating these habits, we unlock the potential for profound change. And this is just the beginning of the journey. In the next part, we will delve deeper into practices like equanimity and patience, exploring how they help us navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. Together, these principles form a comprehensive guide to living a life of wisdom, compassion, and fulfillment. If you're inspired by these insights, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, Buddhism in Modern Life. By joining our community, you'll gain access to practical teachings and inspiring stories that illuminate the path to a more balanced and joyful existence. Let's continue this transformative journey, one step at a time. As we transition deeper into the teachings of Buddhism and their practical applications, it becomes increasingly clear how interconnected these principles are. Each practice, forgiveness, intention, generosity, naturally sets the stage for other vital habits like cultivating equanimity and patience. Together, they form a cohesive framework that not only strengthens mental resilience, but also enriches our ability to navigate the unpredictable currents of life. Equanimity, a central concept in Buddhism, is often described as the ability to maintain inner balance amidst life's inevitable highs and lows. At its heart, equanimity is not about suppressing emotions or becoming detached from life. Instead, it's about engaging with the world from a place of calm and clarity, unshaken by fleeting pleasures or pains. Imagine standing on the shore of a turbulent sea. The waves rise and fall, but you remain grounded, observing the movement without being swept away. This is the essence of equanimity, a steady presence that allows us to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. One story that beautifully illustrates equanimity is that of a Zen farmer whose son broke his leg. When the villagers came to express their sympathy, he simply said, "Good or bad, who can say?" Soon after, a war broke out, and all the able-bodied young men were conscripted, but his son was spared because of his injury. The farmer's refusal to label events as definitively good or bad exemplifies equanimity. It's a reminder that life's events often carry unexpected outcomes, and that clinging to rigid judgments can limit our ability to see the bigger picture. Meditation is a powerful tool for cultivating equanimity. Through practices like mindfulness meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment. Imagine sitting in meditation, noticing the rise of an anxious thought. Instead of chasing it or trying to push it away, you simply acknowledge it and let it pass, much like a cloud drifting across the sky. Over time, this practice builds the mental space needed to face challenges with grace and composure. Patience is another essential quality for developing mental strength, deeply tied to the understanding of impermanence. In a world that prizes instant gratification, patience can feel like a rare virtue. Yet, it is precisely in moments of waiting or adversity that patience reveals its transformative power. Consider a teacher working with a struggling student. Frustration may arise, but patience allows the teacher to look beyond the immediate difficulties and recognize the student's potential. This shift not only benefits the student, but also cultivates resilience and compassion in the teacher. Buddhism teaches that patience is not passive endurance, but an active practice of remaining present and open, even in the face of discomfort. This perspective is beautifully captured in the story of a monk who, while meditating in the forest, was repeatedly interrupted by a noisy bird. Instead of succumbing to irritation, the monk chose to focus on the sound with curiosity and acceptance. Over time, the bird's song became a reminder of life's unpredictability and his own capacity for patience. Such moments highlight how patience transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in developing patience. By bringing our attention to the present moment, we can soften the urge to rush or resist. Imagine waiting in a long line at the grocery store. Instead of fuming over the delay, you take a deep breath, noticing the sights and sounds around you. This simple shift turns an otherwise frustrating experience into an opportunity for mindfulness and calm. Patience, cultivated through mindfulness, becomes a wellspring of inner peace and strength. As we delve further, another habit to examine is our relationship with change. Change is often accompanied by fear and resistance, as we cling to the comfort of the familiar. Yet, Buddhism teaches that impermanence is the very nature of existence. Everything, our thoughts, emotions, possessions, relationships, is in a constant state of flux. By embracing this truth, we can free ourselves from the suffering that arises from resisting change and learn to adapt with flexibility and grace. Consider the story of a woman named Priya, who lost her job unexpectedly. At first, she felt devastated, clinging to the identity and security her role had provided. But as she began to accept her new reality, she saw it as an opportunity for reinvention. She pursued a long-held dream of starting her own business, discovering strengths and passions she hadn't tapped into before. Priya's journey illustrates how embracing impermanence can lead to profound personal growth and transformation. Meditation on impermanence is a powerful practice for developing this perspective. By reflecting on the transient nature of life, we cultivate gratitude for the present moment and let go of unnecessary attachments. One common meditation involves visualizing the changing seasons, the blooming of spring flowers, the falling leaves of autumn, the stillness of winter. This imagery reminds us that change is not an enemy to be feared, but a natural rhythm to be embraced. Letting go of ego is another transformative practice deeply rooted in Buddhism. The ego, with its endless demands for validation, control, and superiority, often creates barriers to genuine connection and inner peace. Buddhism teaches that the self is not a fixed or permanent entity, but a construct of the mind. By loosening the grip of ego, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of humility, compassion, and interconnectedness. Take the example of Ravi, a successful entrepreneur whose ego was tied to his achievements. When his business faced setbacks, he felt his identity unraveling. Seeking solace, he turned to meditation and self-inquiry, gradually realizing that his worth wasn't defined by external success, but by his capacity for kindness and growth. This shift allowed him to approach both his business and personal relationships with greater authenticity and openness. Letting go of ego, as Ravi discovered, is not about diminishing oneself, but about expanding our perspective beyond the confines of I and me. Compassion is a key element in overcoming the ego's hold. By recognizing the shared struggles of others, we dissolve the illusion of separateness and cultivate empathy. Imagine someone who volunteers at a homeless shelter, initially driven by a sense of obligation. Over time, as they connect with the individuals they serve, their perspective shifts from "I'm helping them" to "we are all in this together." This sense of interconnectedness fosters a humility that weakens the ego's influence. Meditation is instrumental in this process. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we begin to see the patterns of ego-driven behavior and the suffering they create. One practice involves visualizing yourself as a drop of water merging into the ocean, symbolizing the dissolution of the ego into a greater whole. Over time, this practice nurtures a sense of unity and peace, freeing us from the isolating grip of the ego. As we integrate these principles, equanimity, patience, embracing change, and letting go of ego, we create a foundation for resilience and fulfillment. These practices are not isolated. They are interwoven, each reinforcing and deepening the other. Equanimity steadies us amidst life's waves. Patience helps us endure and grow. Acceptance of change opens doors to new possibilities. And releasing ego allows us to connect more authentically with others and ourselves. In the next part, we will explore additional practices like gratitude and self-reflection, delving into how these habits further enrich our journey toward mental strength and a meaningful life. Together, these teachings offer a comprehensive guide to navigating life with wisdom, compassion, and clarity. If you're finding inspiration in these insights, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel, Buddhism in Modern Life. By becoming part of our community, you'll continue to explore practical teachings and transformative stories that illuminate the path to inner peace and resilience. Let's continue this journey together, step by step. Continuing this journey through Buddhist teachings, we arrive at practices that deepen our capacity for self-awareness and foster an enduring sense of gratitude. These principles are not merely philosophical ideas. They are transformative tools that reshape how we interact with ourselves, others, and the world around us. Through self-reflection and gratitude, we learn to navigate life's challenges with clarity and appreciation, uncovering a more profound sense of purpose and fulfillment. Self-reflection is a cornerstone of personal growth in Buddhism. It is the practice of turning inward with honesty and curiosity, examining our thoughts, emotions, and actions to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. Unlike self-criticism, which often leads to feelings of inadequacy, self-reflection is rooted in compassion and a desire to learn. This practice helps us identify unhelpful patterns and align our actions more closely with our values. Imagine a man named Kieran, who often found himself caught in cycles of anger and regret. Every time he lashed out in frustration, he would feel guilty, promising himself to do better, only to repeat the pattern. One day, a friend introduced him to mindfulness meditation, encouraging him to observe his thoughts without judgment. During these meditative moments, Kieran began to notice the triggers that led to his anger, the unrealistic expectations he placed on himself and others. This awareness allowed him to pause before reacting, gradually replacing his anger with understanding and patience. Self-reflection, as Kieran discovered, is not about perfection but about progress. It's a practice that empowers us to break free from destructive cycles and cultivate more constructive habits. Meditation is a powerful tool for self-reflection. By creating a quiet space for contemplation, we can observe our inner world with greater clarity. One common Buddhist practice is to reflect on the concept of cause and effect, or karma. By examining how our actions influence our experiences, we become more mindful of the choices we make. For instance, a woman who struggled with procrastination might reflect on how delaying tasks caused unnecessary stress and limited her potential. This insight could inspire her to take proactive steps, gradually transforming her relationship with time and responsibility. Self-reflection, combined with meditation, provides the foundation for intentional living and continuous growth. Gratitude is another transformative practice emphasized in Buddhism. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, fostering a mindset of abundance and appreciation. In a world that often encourages comparison and dissatisfaction, gratitude serves as an anchor, grounding us in the present moment and the countless blessings it holds. Consider the story of Asha, a single mother who struggled to make ends meet. Life often felt overwhelming, and she found herself dwelling on all the things she couldn't provide for her children. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, she decided to start a gratitude journal, listing 3 things she was thankful for. At first, the entries were simple: a warm meal, her children's laughter, a kind word from a neighbor. But over time, this practice transformed her perspective. She began to notice the small joys and acts of kindness that had always been there but were overshadowed by her worries. Gratitude didn't erase her challenges, but it gave her the strength to face them with hope and resilience. Gratitude meditation is a practice that cultivates this mindset. By reflecting on the people, experiences, and opportunities that enrich our lives, we nurture a sense of contentment and connection. One exercise involves visualizing someone who has positively impacted your life, silently offering them thanks for their kindness and support. This practice not only deepens our appreciation for others, but also strengthens our relationships, fostering a sense of interconnectedness. Another way to cultivate gratitude is through acts of service. By extending kindness to others, we experience the joy of giving and reinforce our awareness of the abundance we possess. Imagine a man who, despite facing his own struggles, volunteers at a local food bank. In serving others, he is reminded of the strength of community and the shared humanity that unites us all. Acts of service, driven by gratitude, create a ripple effect, spreading positivity and strengthening bonds. Gratitude also teaches us to embrace impermanence. By recognizing that nothing lasts forever, we learn to cherish the present moment and the people who fill it. A young woman who lost her grandmother found solace in this principle. Instead of dwelling on her loss, she focused on the memories they shared, the lessons her grandmother had taught her, and the love that remained. Gratitude allowed her to honor her grandmother's legacy while finding peace in the midst of grief. Self-reflection and gratitude are deeply interconnected. Self-reflection reveals the patterns and beliefs that shape our experiences, while gratitude shifts our perspective, helping us see those experiences in a more positive light. Together, these practices enable us to approach life with greater awareness, resilience, and joy. As we explore these principles, it becomes evident that they are not isolated practices but part of a larger tapestry of Buddhist teachings. They complement and reinforce one another, creating a holistic approach to mental strength and well-being. Self-reflection sharpens our understanding, gratitude deepens our appreciation, and both practices strengthen our capacity to live with intention and compassion. In the next part, we will delve into additional practices such as cultivating compassion and embracing detachment. These teachings further enrich our journey, offering insights into how we can navigate life's complexities with wisdom and grace. By integrating these principles into our daily lives, we continue to build a foundation for lasting peace and fulfillment. If these insights resonate with you, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, Buddhism in Modern Life. Together, we can explore these teachings in greater depth, uncovering practical tools and inspiring stories that illuminate the path to inner peace and resilience. Let's take the next steps on this transformative journey, one mindful breath at a time. As we approach the final part of this exploration into Buddhist teachings, we turn our attention to the profound practices of compassion, detachment, and embracing impermanence. These principles are transformative not only for individual growth, but also for fostering deeper connections and creating a harmonious world. Together, they encapsulate the essence of Buddhist philosophy, living with wisdom, kindness, and an open heart. Compassion is often regarded as the heart of Buddhism, a practice that transcends mere sympathy to become an active commitment to alleviate the suffering of all beings. It is rooted in the recognition of interconnectedness, the understanding that, at our core, we all desire happiness and seek to avoid pain. When we cultivate compassion, we dissolve the barriers of us and them, fostering a sense of unity and shared humanity. Consider the story of Ravi, a man who once viewed the struggles of others as distant and unrelated to his life. During a volunteer experience at a hospice, Ravi was deeply moved by the vulnerability and resilience of the patients he met. Their courage inspired him to reflect on his own fears and biases. Over time, Ravi's acts of kindness, whether as simple as holding someone's hand or listening without judgment, became expressions of profound compassion. This shift not only transformed his relationships, but also deepened his sense of purpose and fulfillment. Meditation on loving kindness, or metabhavana, is a powerful practice for cultivating compassion. It involves silently repeating phrases of goodwill, May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Directed first toward oneself, then to loved ones, acquaintances, and even those with whom we struggle. This practice expands our capacity for empathy and helps us approach others with an open and loving heart. Detachment is another cornerstone of Buddhist practice, often misunderstood as indifference. In reality, detachment is the art of letting go of attachment, not only to material possessions but also to expectations, outcomes, and even our own ego. It is about finding freedom in impermanence and recognizing that clinging leads to suffering. Letting go does not mean caring less. It means caring with wisdom and balance. Imagine a woman named Leena, whose identity was tied to her career achievements. When faced with an unexpected demotion, she initially spiraled into despair, feeling as though her worth had been diminished. Through meditation and reflection, Leena began to see her situation differently. She realized that her true value lay not in her job title, but in her ability to grow, adapt, and contribute meaningfully. This shift allowed her to embrace her new role with curiosity and grace, ultimately leading to unexpected opportunities. Detachment, as Leena discovered, is a pathway to resilience and inner peace. Meditation plays a crucial role in developing detachment. Practices such as observing the breath or visualizing impermanence help us understand the transient nature of our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. One powerful exercise involves imagining holding a handful of sand. As you let the grains slip through your fingers, you reflect on the beauty of letting go, recognizing that nothing can be permanently grasped. This practice fosters a sense of liberation and clarity, enabling us to navigate life with greater ease. Embracing impermanence is the final, yet perhaps most essential, principle in our journey. The Buddha taught that impermanence is not a source of despair but a fundamental truth that, when understood, leads to freedom. By accepting that all things are subject to change, we learn to appreciate the present moment and approach life with greater flexibility and gratitude. Take, for instance, the story of Haruto, who struggled with the loss of his childhood home to a natural disaster. The grief and sense of loss were overwhelming, but through meditation on impermanence, Haruto began to find solace. He reflected on the memories created in that home and the love that remained with him, untethered to a physical space. This perspective allowed him to rebuild his life with hope and resilience, cherishing the impermanent beauty of each new day. Gratitude is deeply intertwined with the practice of embracing impermanence. When we recognize that moments, relationships, and experiences are fleeting, we learn to savor them fully. A parent, for example, might feel frustrated by the chaos of raising young children, but by embracing impermanence, they come to see these moments as precious, an ever-evolving chapter that deserves their attention and care. This shift not only deepens their connection with their children, but also enriches their own experience of parenthood. Meditation on impermanence often involves contemplating natural cycles, such as the changing seasons or the life cycle of a flower. These reflections remind us that endings are not losses but transitions, making space for new beginnings. By integrating this understanding into our daily lives, we cultivate a profound sense of peace and acceptance, even in the face of uncertainty. As we conclude this exploration, it is worth reflecting on how these practices, compassion, detachment, and embracing impermanence, interconnect and reinforce one another. Compassion teaches us to open our hearts to others. Detachment helps us let go of what no longer serves us, and impermanence reminds us to cherish each moment. Together, they form a comprehensive guide to living a life of balance, resilience, and joy. The journey toward mental strength and fulfillment is not about eliminating challenges, but learning to face them with wisdom and grace. These Buddhist teachings provide timeless tools for navigating life's complexities, transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth. By integrating these principles into our daily lives, we not only cultivate inner peace, but also contribute to a more compassionate and harmonious world. If these teachings resonate with you, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, Buddhism in Modern Life. Together, we can continue exploring these timeless insights, uncovering practical ways to live with clarity, kindness, and purpose. Let this be the beginning of a transformative journey, one that leads to greater understanding, connection, and joy, step by step.